is Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches. Welcome to my channel where together we sew. Today we are going to sew up the next block of my spring mystery quilt, The Secret Garden. Today we're going to sew the rose block, which is on the wall behind me, as you can see. If you would like the patterns to sew along with me, go ahead and click on the link in the description box below. You can go to my site, and if you're just found me now, you can go back and grab the block 1 and block 2 plus the cutting instructions and the fabric requirements. These will all stay up until the end of the sew along, and then I'm going to take them off my site. So if you would like them, go ahead and download them all. I'm super excited to do this week. We're almost halfway done with the blocks. So we have 6 weeks of blocks, and then the final 7th week will be putting the whole top together. So we're about halfway there, so this is exciting. If you're new to my channel, thank you for coming by, and if you've been here before, I appreciate you coming back. If you're brand new, if you like what you see, if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, it doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps me out a little bit. It tells YouTube that you like what you see, and it tells me that you want me to keep doing programs like this, the free sew-alongs, so I truly appreciate it. So let's get started. I'm going to, as always, move my camera so you can see what I'm doing down below. So give me just a second and I'll get that going. Okay, so for today's block, the rose block, you saw the one on the wall behind me. So each week you need to make 2 of each block. I'm going to sew one with you, and then you do one on your own. I've sewn each one ahead of time so you could see what they look like, what we're aiming for. So this week you need, I'm not going to talk about the sizes, that's all going to be in the PDF, so if you go download that. But you need your red rectangles, the red small squares, the large pink square, the green squares like this, the yellow squares, and your background squares. So to get started, we're going to sew, well, first of all, draw a line on the back of your red little squares. We're going to put these on each corner of this pink block. Oops, I didn't draw a line on that one. I've already done 2 of them so you can see how we're going to do this, but this is called snowballing a block. So we're going to put these on here, sew, and then flip them out and iron them. We're going to go ahead and put one on each corner. And draw the line on the back of this one. This is the easiest piece this week to make, so we'll do this easy one first. So we're going to put that right there on that corner, and that one on that corner. I've already done these 2, so right on that line, and then we're going to trim a 1/4 inch away from where we sewed, and then we're going to press that up. So let's go ahead and sew these first. Now you're going to do all 4 corners. I did do 2 of them already to save a little bit of time. So sewed right on that line. So as you can see, I've sewn on both of those, and just to make sure that I sewed them the right direction, all 4 corners should have a triangle of red on them, so I did that correctly. So I'm going to trim away about 1/4 inch. You can either cut it with scissors or you can use your rotary cutter and a ruler. There we go. And then I'm going to press these out away from the center. So it's a good idea for this block to have your iron close by. If you've got a little one that you can keep next to your table, or if you've only got a big one, that works too. But keep your iron close by and hot and ready. We're going to be ironing a lot of things this week. And you want to have a friction pen and a ruler to draw lines. So that's our centerpiece, and that's all done. We've done all 4 corners. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to add these squares to the top of the rectangles. So you're going to want to draw a line again, just like this, corner to corner. And then all of these are going to go the exact same way. So from the top right to the bottom left, you're going to sew on the diagonal. So that one's ready. I'm going to draw a line on this one. And then I'm going to place that right there from the top right to the bottom left. And you're going to have 8 of these per block. So make sure that all 8 are going to go the same direction, the way you sew them, from the top right to the bottom left. You can chain piece all these to save a little bit of time and then just cut them apart when you're done. Now I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away from that line that I just sewed towards the outside of the rectangle. And then we're going to press these out. That line disappear with heat. I'm using a friction pen. You can use whatever your favorite marking tool is, a chalk marker, friction pen, water soluble pen, whatever you like. I don't mind using a friction pen on these because it's on the back side and you won't see it. I know there is some controversy with friction pens saying that the lines can come back in cold weather. I live in a place that gets cold and warm. I've never had them come back, especially after you wash. Once you've washed your piece, you wash the ink out, it won't come back. Or I shouldn't say it won't. I've never experienced it coming back, so I don't mind friction pens. The only color friction pen that I will tell you that I would warn you guys against is red, because I used a red friction pen on fabric before, and even though the red came out, it left like a faint white mark on some of the colored fabric. So that's the only one I've ever had trouble with. Okay, so those are sewn. Now we're going to join these two together just like this. So we're going to put the pieces together and sew up this seam a 1/4 inch. Now I like to start from the bottom because these are a little stretchy up here because we cut the triangles. So I'm going to start from the bottom and then sew right up a 1/4 inch. So you should have something if you open it up. I can make my fingers work here. That looks like this. So I'm going to press this way to press most of the red towards the red. But you can press it any way you like. These ones really don't matter. I just like to try to press the dark fabric towards the dark as much as I can. Now you're going to make 4 of these 2-piece units per block, so 8 altogether, but 4 per block. and these are going to become the petals of the flower. Okay, so after you're done with those, you can put those aside. Now I'm going to sew the corner pieces. So we're going to sew one background square to the yellow colored square and a background square to the green, with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And don't forget, guys, to use a true 1/4 inch seam allowance. None of this scant business. You know, I don't like that scant business. Because you never know what they mean by scant, because somebody else's scant might not be scant to you. So I always write all my patterns with a true 1/4 inch seam. So you're gonna make 4 greens and 4 yellows per block. So 8 altogether for each color, if you're making both blocks at the same time. So you should have a piece that looks like this and a piece that looks like this. And I'm gonna iron these both to the colored fabric. Oh, this sunshiny yellow makes me look more even forward to spring. We got a taste of spring for a few days and then it went back to winter. But to be fair, it is still winter in Ohio, so you never know what to expect. Okay, so we have these 2 pieces. You're going to turn, doesn't matter which color, but turn one of them around, and then you're going to join them together. So flip the yellow on top to the white and the white on top to the green. You're going to nest these right here, and you can pin, or if you trust yourself and you don't need to pin, that's fine too. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch down that seam. So I'm not going to pin it, so I'm just taking the time to line it up. I can feel where those seams are touching each other. And then once I pass the seam, I always make sure the ends are still matching. And done. There. We've got a 4 patch. That's going to be the corners of our blocks. And now, this seam you can also press any way you like. You can press it, you know, to either side or open. I'm going to actually press mine open just because there is a bit of bulk right here in the center. And as a long arm quilter, I know sometimes by feeling seams where it might have some trouble if I put it on the long arm and it actually happens to hit right in that seam. So I'm just going to press this one open. So when I press open, I start by pressing to one side, or at least pressing with a pressing pen to one side, and then opening the seam. It seems to open easier that way. I'm not sure why. Somebody actually asked me that. I'm not sure why that works, but it does. So it's just magic. So I think it's probably because you've already gotten it to one side and you only have to open one piece instead of opening 2 pieces, so, or getting 2 sides to lay where you want them. It's probably why it works, but I'm just gonna say magic. Okay, so I've got that done. So now to start making this block, I'm gonna grab my pieces here, scooch this iron out of the way a little bit. We're gonna make the rose now. So I'm gonna put one piece with the green outer to the outermost and the yellow touching the red. So we're gonna make a row out of the green and yellow, the red center, and then the yellow and green. And make sure those yellows are going towards the center, touching the red, and the greens are on the outer left corner, outer right corner. And nothing to match up or nest here, so that makes it a little easy. Same thing on this side. Now again, because we trimmed this and it's a cut piece, I like to start at the bottom just because this part can be a little stretchy or a little off. So I like to start with the straightest part. And these are nice clean square lines down here, so you can do it however you like. I just feel like you end up with a better result if you start with the straightest part of the block. So we're going to build this block with 3 rows. So this top row I'm going to press to the right, and the bottom row I've already done because it looks exactly like this, and I pressed it to the right, and then the center row we're going to press to the left, so they nest up really nicely when we put all 3 of these together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So your top and bottom row are going to look identical. So you'll have a piece that looks like this, and then you'll have a piece that looks like this. But they go together the exact same way when you sew them. Okay, I've got that one done. Put that aside. Okay, now we're going to do our center row. So you're going to grab that block that we made at the very beginning, the snowballed block, and you're going to take your flower petals and you're going to put one on either side of the center. Just like that. Okay? And so 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and press this. I think I'll make it easier right now before we put the other side on. Now I'm pressing this one to the left because we pressed the top and bottom row to the right. It's a little bit bulky right there in the center. So you can press those open if you want to. I don't think I'm going to. It's not horrible. Just give it a good press right there so it stays where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to attach the last side to this row. So that's all attached. I just need to iron it. Okay, so that row is done. So now I'm going to put all these rows together. So I'm going to lay this block out and show you how to do this. So we're just going to put the top row to the middle and the bottom row to the middle. And then I'm going to press the top row up and the bottom row down. So the only place you're going to want to nest these is right here where the reds meet up. You can pin if you like. I'm just gonna hold on to it and hope for a good result. Okay. Looking good so far. Those nested pretty nicely. Those are perfect. And even if they were off just a little bit, honestly, I'd probably leave it because after this is all done and quilted, if yours are off by just the tiniest bit, nobody's ever gonna see it. I'm not a big fan of ripping if I don't have to. Awesome. Okay, so there's the block. I just need to iron this, which I'm going to do at my big iron because it's kind of hard to iron a whole block at the small iron. But it's all done. I've got a thread right there that I'm showing you guys. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so we finished the rose blocks. Thank you guys for sewing along. It was a lot of fun. I just love them. Next week, the block that we're going to be doing, I would recommend bringing a ruler that you can draw a line and trim across a 7.5-inch block. I think so that and a friction pen would be helpful for next week. Next week gets a little bit harder, but not too bad. And then the last 2 weeks we're saving the most difficult blocks, although none of them are difficult, they're just more pieces. So I don't want you to think you can't do this, you can. I've been seeing a lot of people posting on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and tagging me with their blocks done, and thank you so much for doing that. I love them. They're looking amazing, whether you're using my fabric or your own. I love seeing them. I love the creativity. I love the fabrics that people are choosing. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Keep posting. I would love to keep seeing your progress, and each week that would be great. And thank you so much, and I'll see you next Sunday for block number 4. Bye.